My daughter emptied my social security account and vanished to the beach, leaving me alone with an empty kitchen and a locked card. She returned bronzed and smiling, convinced I'd be desperate by then. But when she opened the refrigerator that evening, the sound that tore through the apartment was a scream of pure horror. Hello, dear listeners. Before I begin, a story of betrayal, endurance, and the day I finally chose myself, I ask for your support. Please subscribe, press like, and tell me in the comments where you're listening from. Knowing how many of us are out there keeps me going. And now, the story. The front door had slammed shut 3 hours earlier, yet the cloying sweetness of Quintessa's perfume still lingered in the hallway. It was always too strong for my taste, too aggressive for our aging brownstone with its tall ceilings and air accustomed to lavender sachets and decades of quiet. I stood motionless in the kitchen, staring at the pantry door. The silence was total, ringing, almost. I once cherished this silence. It meant rest after long hours bent over fabric, my fingers aching from needlework, my back stiff from leaning forward all day. But today the quiet felt watchful. Hungry. My stomach clenched. It embarrassed me to admit it, but I was hungry, not dramatically starving, just the persistent ache that creeps in by evening. I opened the cabinet. The hinges groaned. Inside, the shelves were spotless and bare. Quintessa had packed in a frenzy. She'd flitted around the apartment like a tropical bird trapped indoors, stuffing bikinis, sundresses, and sunscreen into her suitcase. I remembered her pausing at the door, shoes already on, hand extended. Mama, give me your card. Just in case. What if the ATM doesn't work down there? But that's my whole social security check, I'd said, dread already crawling up my spine. How am I supposed to live for 2 weeks? She rolled her eyes and plucked the card from my fingers. You've got grits. Boil them, add butter. It's healthy. A detox. Doctors say people your age need that anyway. Don't invent problems. I deserve this vacation. And then she was gone, to Miami, to sunshine and cocktails, taking my money, my peace of mind, and apparently my food with her. Grits. Yes, she'd mentioned them. I reached for the top shelf where the old glass jar stood, labeled in my handwriting decades ago. It felt too light. Inside were only a few sad grains resting in gray dust. Not enough for a sparrow. She hadn't checked. She hadn't cared. Cold spread through my chest, not from the air, but from realization. This wasn't carelessness. This was cruelty. I closed the jar. The clink echoed like a gunshot. Maybe there was loose change. Quintessa was careless with coins. I searched her room. Chaos everywhere. Clothes draped over chairs, makeup smeared across the vanity, receipts scattered on the floor. Nothing. Then I saw a crumpled paper by the trash. I smoothed it out. A hotel reservation. A flight itinerary. The total leapt off the page. Bold, merciless. 2 weeks of beachfront luxury equaled 3 months of my income. I stood there, walls pressing in. For years I'd mended old clothes, skipped fruit at the market to afford her shoes, her tuition, her wants. Always what's in style now. I shut her bedroom door hard. The living room greeted me with quiet grandeur. My treasures. My prison. The carved oak buffet. The crystal. The Limoges porcelain, untouched, waiting for a wedding that never happened. My grandmother's silver tea service. Jewelry I never wore. Fur coats Quintessa mocked but never sold. This wasn't a home. It was a museum. And I was the unpaid curator. Dusting, preserving, starving. My stomach growled again. This time, clarity followed. I found the newspapers she told me to throw away. In the classifieds, the ad I'd circled without admitting why. Alistair Sterling. Antiques. Silver. Porcelain. Honest appraisal. House calls. I lifted the receiver. The dial tone hummed. Hello. Good evening, I said, surprised by my own steadiness. Do you buy sterling silver flatware? He did. By morning, he stood in my doorway, punctual, sharp-eyed. His gaze changed as he took in the room. This is quite a collection, he said. It's storage, I replied. I showed him the spoons. He examined them reverently. Early 20th century. Exceptional condition. Never used, I said. Only admired. He named a price. Generous, but not enough. No. His eyebrows rose. You'll sell these for triple, I said calmly. I want a fair dealer's price. I named it. After a pause, he smiled. Deal. When he left, money in my hand, something lifted. I didn't hide the cash. I put on my best coat and walked downtown, not to the discount store, but to the gourmet market I hadn't entered in 15 years. I bought prosciutto, cheese with truffles, olives, warm bread, 2 perfect peaches, smoked salmon. At home, I laid a lace tablecloth Quintessa forbade me to use. Today, I'm the guest, I said. I ate slowly, reverently. Freedom tasted sweet. When the plate was empty, I placed the receipt where the spoons had been. Dinner, I whispered. The days passed gently. Croissants, wine, rest. Then the phone rang. Mama. Quintessa's voice, ocean roaring behind her. Still alive. She mocked. She instructed me on watering down grits. I'm managing, I said. She laughed. Hung up. She thought she'd broken me. That night, I found the folder. Power of attorney. A nursing facility. Plans already in motion. This wasn't neglect. It was eviction. Cold fury hardened into resolve. I called Mr. Sterling again. This time, I sold the brooch Quintessa loved most. Ruby. Diamonds. History. When it was gone, I ordered champagne. She would come home expecting control. Instead, she would find emptiness. And a woman who finally chose herself. I'm still nearby, Ully, he said, clearly startled. Is something wrong? Did you discover something else? I found my reason. I cut in. Come back. And bring a truck. We're emptying the apartment. Everything goes. Everything. His voice tightened. Mrs. Ully, that's not a small decision. Are you certain? Completely. The painting, the clock, the rug, the china, every piece worth a cent. Come now. The next 2 hours blurred together. Alistair returned with 2 strong men who spoke little and worked carefully, as though handling fragile memories rather than objects. The river landscape was lifted from the wall, leaving behind a pale ghost of where it had hung. The grandfather clock that had counted out half a century of my life was silenced, wrapped, and carried away. The Persian rug was rolled tight like a cocoon. I stood there, watching my life exit piece by piece. With every item removed, my chest felt lighter. They weren't taking furniture. They were lifting weights off my soul. The apartment began to breathe. It was no longer a shrine to the past. It was simply a place to live. Alistair counted money, wrote checks. The pile grew disturbingly large. You won't regret this, he asked softly. I'll regret only one thing, I said, staring at the bare wall. That I waited so long. When the door closed behind them, silence returned, but it was a clean silence. In my hands was a bag stuffed with money. I didn't hesitate. First call, a cleaning company. Deep cleaning. Walls, floors, windows. I wanted the smell of freshness, not decay. Double pay if they came today. Second, an elite gourmet delivery service. I scrolled without flinching at prices. Beluga caviar. Truffles. Foie gras. Dom Perignon. Exotic fruit I'd only seen in magazines. Add. The total surpassed the yearly cost of the nursing home Quintessa had chosen for me. By evening, the apartment gleamed. Sunlight flooded in through spotless windows. The air smelled of lilies and citrus polish. A massive bouquet stood proudly in the hall. Then came the food. The couriers stared when I opened the refrigerator, empty, spotless, glowing under a single bulb. Fill it, I ordered. Jar after jar lined the shelves. Cheese, meats, champagne, fruit glowing like jewels. The fridge grew heavy with abundance. When they finished, it was packed so tightly it barely closed. I opened it once more. The cold air smelled of wealth, not poverty. This was my answer. 2 weeks later, the key scraped in the lock. Mama, I'm home. Quintessa announced like a conqueror. I hope you've learned your lesson. She rolled her suitcase inside, expecting darkness, guilt, submission. Instead, she smelled lilies, perfume, space. What happened in here? She muttered. She headed for the kitchen. Open it, I said quietly. She yanked the fridge door open and screamed. Caviar, champagne, truffles, fruits blazing with color, a refrigerator overflowing with what she thought was hers. She turned slowly. Where did this come from? I was hungry, I said calmly, and you took my card. Her panic ignited. She ran through the apartment, discovering emptiness where value once stood. We've been robbed, she gasped, dialing her phone. No, I said. I sold it. Her phone fell. You sold my inheritance. I ate it, I replied. She tried to grab the food, clutching jars like treasure. Put it back, I told her. When she refused, my palm struck the table. The sound cracked through the room. That is my dinner. She called an ambulance. 20 minutes later, the doorbell rang. It wasn't paramedics. It was Miss Theodosia and Alistair. Documents came out. Notary stamps, contracts, proof of sanity. Quintessa's plan collapsed in front of witnesses. Then I placed the nursing home brochure on the table. You planned this, I said. So now you can keep it. For yourself. I changed the locks. She left screaming curses. I locked the door behind her. That night, I put the caviar back in the fridge. Cold tastes better, I said aloud. Weeks passed. The apartment filled with light, not fear. I sat on the balcony wrapped in a new shawl, eating a sandwich with salmon and cream cheese, sipping coffee. The taste was familiar. It was the taste of freedom, the taste of a life that finally belonged to me, until the last crumb, the last breath. And that, dear listeners, is the story. A story about the moment patience runs out, and choice begins. What would you have done? Was Ully right to choose herself? Tell me what you think, and where you're listening from. Thank you for being here.